So you're probably wondering, why am I making a video on Paladins? I once believed that this game was actually going to be Overwatch. Of course, that never actually happened, and this game ended up dying, which is why you're on this video as of right now. This is very obvious to see as when you look at Steam charts, it's been a decline since release of the game. So that is a strong indicator that the game is not succeeding, and because this game was pretty good as a free-to-play game. And it's noteworthy to mention that this game actually released cross-platform before Overwatch did. So at some point, these developers, I don't even know the name of the developers, but they had a right idea, but they didn't execute it properly, I believe. So enough with the sad music because it's actually making me kind of sad, but I did end up giving Paladins a try while making this video, so it doesn't just seem like I'm talking about a game that I haven't played. I only did one gaming session, to be fair, but I think the game is still incredibly fun, especially with friends. And honestly, to this day, I think the only flaw that this game still holds is graphics, is the lack of good graphics. But of course, that's my opinion. Perhaps many people don't really see the graphics as the core issue as to why they haven't played Paladins, or hell, why the game even failed in the first place. But I think I have a good idea of why this failed. And of course, you guys can always disagree in the comments, and the best comment on this video I will pin because I'm a very small channel and I pretty much read every comment, so your voices will be heard. But back to the video as to why I believe Paladins failed. And the main thing is, from the get-go, I believe Paladins was going to be behind in Overwatch simply because they were a smaller startup company, and that just puts them at a disadvantage. But that's not to say that they were never going to be Overwatch or Blizzard, whatever. The developers, I don't know the devs, sorry guys. We'll just refer to the developers by the games that they made. So the Overwatch devs and the Paladins devs, of course. So this next point that I want to make for speculation as to what I think snowballed the downfall of Paladins, at least for the people that I played with. And I want to say that this isn't applicable to everyone, but I think this could be applicable to a lot of people. I do want to make great points that don't just apply to me, as I am not the majority, but I do believe that a lot of gamers care about cosmetics. And one thing that I can remember in specifics is that at one point the battle pass that was in Paladins was pretty solid. And then I remember that they tried changing the battle pass one time to a shorter one, and I don't know what the Paladins devs thought process was behind this. Perhaps they just were on a low budget and they just didn't want to release a big battle pass with a bunch of skins. I don't know, but I think this led to the downfall of Paladins, and as to why I stopped playing it, because my friends stopped playing it. Personally, I didn't care, but I'm not the majority, of course, of gamers that care about cosmetics. For example, I think something that can amplify my point here is, if you look at games like Fortnite, for example, I think if the game really never had any cosmetics, the game would have never really blown up, if you think about it. And this is coming, of course, from someone that played in season 2 and 1 week of season 1, so I pretty much have seen it all, from Fortnite's rise to the biggest game ever made, and it will hold that title for the unforeseeable future. So I think it's objectively important that games, especially like Paladins and Overwatch, get their cosmetics right, because that was one of the issues that I think a lot of people had a problem with. Was, yeah, pretty much the battle pass was just flawed. And when I logged into the game in my last gaming session, I don't know how long this video is gonna take to make because I'm kind of a procrastinator, of course, but I noticed that the battle pass was still the same thing that it was when I left the game, and it was shit, to say the least. I wouldn't buy it, and I don't think anyone should buy it. And perhaps that's maybe the only way they make money, but I don't think it's really a good idea to support companies that don't give what the consumers want, because if you don't think it's well deserved. So yeah, I think this is a point that, like, it's kind of hard to like to continue on as to why it led to Paladins failing. All right, so perhaps the battle pass had something to do with the fact that Paladins started dying. I think something that we can look at that's probably more true than this is Paladins does not have a competitive scene. And if you compare it to like games like Overwatch and League of Legends, you'll see that there is a competitive scene. And I think beyond the fact of playing the game just for fun, a lot of people find a reason to keep playing a game even more if there's a competitive scene, just like Fortnite, just like Overwatch, and just like League of Legends, which I've been playing, so I could pretty much tell you guys firsthand. I think part of the reason why I do play League of Legends is because it's kind of like Paladins. It's a team-based game, 5v5. Personally, I'm not really a fan of Overwatch. I just think that for one, the champions playstyles don't really cater to me, and I feel like damage or the DPS role on that game is so fucking useless, at least compared to Paladins, because in Paladins a damage can actually kill a tank. In Overwatch, that's not the case, and it won't be the case unless I think if you're on the hero, I think Reaper. I don't know, that's besides the point. Point being is, I think if Paladins did add a competitive scene, which is probably very unlikely, but if they did, I think it would bring a lot of people to the game, as many people are interested where money is. So I don't think the removal of this specific feature was the reason why Paladins failed. Of course, I think this one personally for me made me want to play the game a lot less, and that was the removal of play of the game, because I think in every game you are rewarded game to game if you get a play of the game, because it gives you small wins, which I think keeps you on the game. And even Overwatch has this, so I mean, I think that's kind of crucial to a lot of team-based games, and I think if they added that, I would enjoy the game a little bit more, because you would get more recognition for playing well, as currently there's not that much recognition. Another thing that I've noticed after my last gaming session on Paladins is I found it quite weird that you can't talk to the enemies while the match is going on, and it's something I'm used to because I've really just been playing League lately, so it's kind of weird not being able to talk to the enemies on the other team until post game, which Overwatch doesn't do that either. So there's that. There's like not a lot of interaction that I think actually plays a factor into the game being more interactive. But again, that's not exactly why Paladins failed, but I think this one personally for me was something that made me like the game a lot less. Still a good game though, but to keep this video short, I think that's pretty much it. It's the first point is the battle pass is dog shit now. There's no competitive scene. There's a lack of interaction in the game that was once even in the game, and some other elements that they could add that probably wouldn't be that hard to add, and it would overall make the game a lot more fun. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and don't forget, top comment will get a pin.